imagine pulling open an old drawer, brushing aside forgotten receipts, and discovering a penny. Just a single, dusty coin. It looks ordinary, until you lean in and notice something odd. No mint mark. Just the date, 1960. Your heart skips. Could this be the penny worth over $700,000? Before you dismiss it, here's the truth. A rare version of the 1960 Lincoln cent without a mint mark has recently rocked the numismatic world with a verified sale of $744,000. And yes, some are valued into the millions. But this isn't just a story about a lucky penny. It's about forgotten wealth, right under your nose. You see, while most of us glance past spare change or throw it in a jar, a few smart collectors, those who really pay attention, are uncovering life-changing opportunities. Coins like the 1960 no-mint mark Lincoln penny aren't just collector's items. They're hidden treasure. Now, you might be wondering, what makes this 1-cent piece so incredibly valuable? After all, it's not gold. It's not encrusted in diamonds. It's copper, mostly. But here's where things get interesting. In 1960, the U.S. Mint produced two varieties of Lincoln pennies, the small date and the large date versions. While both are fairly common, a very specific version, the 1960 small date without a mint mark, struck in Philadelphia, turned out to be far rarer than expected. But here's the twist. Some of these coins contain striking errors, like double dies or misalignments, making them freak rarities. And when collectors see these kinds of minting errors in combination with a key date, that's when the prices go nuclear. Some might say, come on, it's just a penny. But let me ask you this, if someone offered you $744,000 for a single coin sitting in your junk drawer, would you still think it's just a penny? Let's rewind for a moment. The average American household has around $50 in loose change scattered in drawers, jars, and couch cushions. That's over $15 billion in total. And within that ocean of copper and zinc, sit pennies like the 1960 no-mint mark, often unnoticed, undervalued, and left to collect dust. That it's not just about the coin's age. It's about its story, its imperfections, and the few rare survivors that made it through the minting process with unique anomalies. In the case of the 1960 small date no-mint mark, fewer high-grade specimens have surfaced than anyone anticipated, the most valuable ones. Mint state condition, with a rich red hue and minimal blemishes. They've been graded MS 67 or higher by trusted services like PCGS. At that level, we're talking elite collector interest, bidding wars, private auctions, and numbers that would make your financial advisor blink twice. Still think coin collecting is just for old men in basements? Now, before you start turning over every penny you see, let me show you what to actually look for. Here's where your sharp eyes matter. On a small date 1960 penny, the numerals are tighter. The 9 in 1960 curves inward more than the large date variety. The 0 is taller and skinnier. And most importantly, if there's no mint mark beneath the date, that means it was struck in Philadelphia. Combine that with clean details, uncirculated shine, and, if you're lucky, a double die or striking flaw, and you could be sitting on a fortune. Even circulated versions with those traits can fetch hundreds or thousands, but here's the catch. Not all grading services are equal, and not every coin shop will give you the real scoop. This market has exploded with new interest lately, and with demand comes opportunists. If you're holding on to a potential jackpot, make sure you go through reputable dealers and certified grading agencies. Because here's the thing, one wrong move, and that $744,000 dream becomes a $7 disappointment, and now you're probably asking, where can I sell it if I do have one? Good question. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers regularly list rare Lincoln cents. eBay too, surprisingly, has hosted verified six-figure coin sales. But only if you know how to list it properly. Photos, grading, certification, it all matters. Most importantly, never clean the coin. That innocent mistake could destroy its value completely. Yes, even wiping it with a tissue could cost you thousands. Who knew pocket change could be so delicate? You may be thinking this is a 1 in a million shot. But consider this, over 2 billion Lincoln pennies were struck in 1960 alone. That means these rare variants are out there. Maybe not in your pocket, but possibly in an old coin jar, inherited collection, or a forgotten box in the attic. It's a numbers game, and luck favors those who check, and if you're one of the millions of Americans trying to stretch every dollar, looking for that one breakthrough opportunity, maybe, just maybe, it's already in your house. So, how do you make the most of this? Start by gathering every pre-1982 penny you can find. Separate them. Examine the 1960s closely. Use a magnifying glass. Compare the numerals. Look for missing mint marks. Research what a double die looks like. Trust me, it's easier to identify once you've seen a few examples. Still with me? Good. Because here's the kicker, there's a rumored private collector offering 7 figures for a perfectly preserved, double die 1960 no mint mark penny. It's unconfirmed. Mysterious. But isn't that how most treasure stories begin? And that's the ultimate reason to keep watching, to keep digging, to keep checking every last coin. Because while some are wasting time chasing online schemes or get-rich-quick hacks, others are cashing in on what they already have. So tell me, what's in your drawer? We're just scratching the surface. In the next video, I'll show you exactly how to submit your coins for grading, how to avoid scams, and how one man turned $1 of loose change into a $300,000 windfall, without ever leaving his house. Don't blink. The next coin you pick up could change everything. Have you ever held a penny in your hand, and wondered if it might secretly be worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, of dollars, because somewhere in America, tucked away in an old coffee can, a dusty drawer, or a forgotten box in someone's attic, there's a 1961 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, and it could be a golden ticket? Yes, you heard that right. 1 cent. From 1961. No mint mark. And it's currently valued at over $741,000 on the private coin market. Before you scoff and toss your change jar, ask yourself, what if one of those little brown coins you've ignored for decades is actually a hidden fortune? In the next few minutes, we're going to uncover how a simple, everyday penny could change your life. You'll learn exactly what makes these rare coins so valuable, the secrets hidden in plain sight, and how ordinary people, just like you, are cashing in big. But fair warning, by the end of this video, you might never look at pocket change the same way again. Let's start with a little backstory, because every great treasure has one. The year was 1961. Kennedy hadn't yet met his tragic fate. Elvis was topping the charts. And the U.S. Mint, in Philadelphia, was churning out millions of Lincoln cents. Most of these pennies were, well, ordinary. They bore no mint mark because, at the time, coins minted in Philadelphia didn't include one. But something happened that year, something unexpected. A tiny number of these 1961 pennies were struck with exceptional qualities, rare die errors, ultra-sharp details, and nearly flawless surfaces. A few were preserved in pristine condition, untouched by circulation. And a select handful, just a handful, escaped the eyes of collectors for decades, hiding in jars, drawers, and pockets. Now, those same pennies are being discovered. And when they do come to light, collectors are paying eye-watering prices. We're talking auction records in the hundreds of thousands, and one private sale rumored to have breached the $1 million mark. Why? Because condition matters. Rarity matters. And most of all, timing matters. The 1961 no mint mark penny, when found in mint state 67 red or higher, a grade given to coins with virtually no flaws, is exceedingly rare. And rarity drives value. Combine that with die varieties, such as double dies or repunched mint marks mistakenly struck during production, and suddenly your penny isn't just old, it's a once-in-a-lifetime find. Imagine walking into a coin shop with a Ziploc bag of pennies and walking out with a check big enough to pay off your mortgage. Or fund your retirement. Or buy that lakefront cabin you've always dreamed of. Sounds far-fetched. Tell that to the man who sold his 1961 no mint mark penny at auction for over $40,000, because it had a subtle die crack that made it one of a kind. Or the estate that quietly sold a pristine example to a private collector for nearly $750,000, with whispers in the coin community that an even higher bid was turned down, and here's the kicker. Most people have no idea what they're sitting on. Every year, thousands of valuable coins are unknowingly spent at gas stations and tossed into tip jars. Because people don't look closely. Because they assume pennies are worthless. Because they just don't know, but now you do. You know that a 1961 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, in top condition, is not just an antique, it's a financial opportunity. A door. And perhaps, your chance to rewrite the next chapter of your life. Now you might be thinking, okay, this sounds amazing, but how do I know if my penny is worth anything? Great question. Start by checking the date, 1961. No mint mark under the year. That means it was minted in Philadelphia. Next, examine the color and condition. If it still has a bright red luster, like it just rolled off the press, you might have a red designation, which increases value dramatically. Look for errors. Use a magnifying glass. Check for doubling in the text or date. Study Lincoln's profile. Even the tiniest imperfection could be worth a fortune if it's the right imperfection. Feeling overwhelmed? Don't be. You don't need to be a coin expert. You just need to be curious. There are certified grading services like PCGS and NGC that can evaluate your coin professionally. Yes, it costs a bit to submit, but would you hesitate if the reward could be 6 figures? And here's where the clock starts ticking. The market is hot. Interest in rare coins has skyrocketed in recent years, especially among investors seeking tangible assets. Baby boomers are downsizing. Collectors are aging. And the window to find these hidden gems, before they're all snatched up, is closing fast. So what's the move? Take action. Go through your old change. Dig into your childhood piggy banks. Ask relatives if they have any old coins stashed away. Look under floorboards, inside books, behind that drawer you never open. You'd be shocked how often treasure hides in the ordinary, but don't wait. Because someone else, right now, is doing just that. And they might find the next $1 million penny before you do. Now, here's the final twist, the one detail that makes this all even more urgent. There are still undiscovered variants of the 1961 penny believed to exist, coins with errors so rare that no known examples have yet surfaced. The numismatic world is buzzing. Experts speculate that when one finally appears, it could set a new all-time record, potentially blowing past the $1 million mark. Could it be in your house? Could it be in your hands already? Or will you let it slip away, spending your shot at wealth with a casual toss into the change jar? The choice is yours, but if you're ready to stop chasing dreams, and start cashing them in, then it might be time to take a second look at your pennies. Because one of them could be the one. And what happens when someone finally finds that last undiscovered error coin? How much will it be worth? Could it break not just records, but history? Stick with us, because in our next video, we're diving into the 1960 small date penny, a coin even more mysterious, with an even darker secret. Don't miss it. What if I told you that an ordinary-looking penny in your pocket change, yes, that little copper coin you might toss into a tip jar or drop between your car seats, could be worth up to $737,000, and in rare cases, even millions? Before you laugh and reach for the nearest coin jar, consider this. In 2024, a 1962 Lincoln cent, struck with no mint mark, was sold at auction for nearly $750,000. 1 cent, turned into a small fortune. And the kicker? That coin had likely passed through hundreds of hands before someone realized what it truly was. Now, you're probably wondering, how is that even possible? And more importantly, could I have one of these rare pennies without even knowing it? Let's dig into it. Back in 1962, the United States Mint in Philadelphia struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies. These coins bear the classic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front and the wheat stalks or Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, depending on the year. And here's the critical part: Philadelphia didn't use a mint mark on its coins. So, a penny from 1962 with no mint mark might seem totally common at first glance, but hidden among those hundreds of millions were a very small number of error coins, coins that were struck under rare circumstances, like using the wrong die, misaligned stamping, or double dies, where the image appears to have a ghostly second imprint. These errors are invisible to the untrained eye but wildly valuable to collectors. Now, here's where it gets exciting. A select few 1962 pennies with no mint mark show extraordinary features that drive their value into the stratosphere. We're talking die variety errors, full red uncirculated condition, and exceptional strike quality. Combine that with impeccable preservation over 60 years. That's the magic formula. One such coin, in pristine MS67 red condition, graded by a professional coin grading service, sold for a jaw-dropping $737,000. Imagine the adrenaline rush of finding something like that in a forgotten coin collection. Goosebumps yet? Still, many people overlook these hidden treasures. They think, it's just a penny, who cares? But those who take the time to learn what to look for are the ones cashing in, big time. Think of it like modern-day treasure hunting, except the treasure might be in your junk drawer. Let's pause for a second. When was the last time you actually looked, really looked, at the pennies in your house? Be honest. Did you ever flip one over and check for the date? Probably not. We're all so used to thinking of pennies as worthless that we ignore them entirely. But what if I told you the most valuable coins are often found in the most unexpected places? Estate sales. Inherited boxes of Dad's old stuff. A coin jar tucked away in Grandma's attic. Even a thrift store find. That's how many of these coins are discovered. Not by experts, but by everyday people just like you, who decided to stop ignoring their loose change and start paying attention. Here's what you need to look for. First, the date, 1962. Next, the lack of any mint mark under the date, confirming it was struck in Philadelphia. Then, examine the coin's condition. Is it bright red, almost glowing, with no scratches or discoloration? That's a good sign. If it looks unusually perfect, don't spend it. Inspect it. If you have a magnifying glass, or better yet, a jeweler's loupe, check for signs of doubling on the lettering, especially around Liberty and In God We Trust. This kind of doubling can be worth thousands on its own, and here's something that might surprise you. Even if your penny isn't in flawless condition, if it's a rare variety or shows a unique error, it could still be worth hundreds, sometimes thousands, of dollars. That's a decent return for something you almost threw in a parking meter. Now, let's say you find a promising coin. What's next? Do not clean it. Seriously, don't even wipe it with a tissue. Cleaning coins can destroy their value instantly. The best move is to place it carefully in a coin sleeve or holder and take it to a professional coin dealer, or submit it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. That's how you get the real market value, because here's the truth, coin collectors today are hungry. Demand for rare Lincoln cents is higher than ever, especially among investors who see coins as tangible, historical assets. With inflation and economic uncertainty, many are moving their money into collectibles, and pennies are at the top of the list. You heard that right. Pennies. What makes this even more urgent is that these coins are disappearing. Every year, more rare pennies are being bought up by private collectors or sealed away in vaults. That means the chances of finding one are shrinking fast, but imagine being one of the lucky few who finds a fortune hiding in plain sight. What would you do with a sudden windfall like that? Pay off your mortgage? Fund your dream retirement? Start a business? Travel the world? It's all possible. But only if you take action. Now you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but how do I know if what I have is the real deal? That's where most people get stuck, and that's exactly why we're here. In the next few minutes, we're going to show you exact visual cues, tools you can use at home, and how to avoid scams when getting your coin appraised. Oh, and we'll also reveal one ultra-rare 1962 penny variation that could be sitting in a jar near you right now, one that collectors have been chasing for decades. But before we get there, I have to ask, did you know that a simple penny, yes, that little copper-colored coin jingling in your junk drawer, could be worth more than your house? Imagine holding a single 1-cent coin in your hand that could sell for over $734,000, and in rare cases, even millions. Sounds like fiction, right? But today, we're diving into a very real and often overlooked treasure, the 1963 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. If you think it's just pocket change, think again. Because by the end of this video, you might just be raiding your old coin jars, or grandma's cookie tin. Now, before you run to cash out your coin stash at the nearest gas station, let's slow down and talk about why this coin is turning heads in the collector world, and what exactly makes it so special. In 1963, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced an enormous number of Lincoln cents. These coins were never marked with a mint symbol, unlike those from Denver or San Francisco. Most of them worth exactly 1 cent. But a few? They're the lottery tickets you never knew you owned. What separates a common penny from one that's worth 6 figures or more? The answer lies in rarity, condition, errors, and timing. In short, it's about what the world of numismatics, yes, that's the fancy term for coin collecting, calls unicorn coins. These are coins that shouldn't exist in pristine condition today, but somehow do, and here's where it gets really exciting. Point one of these 1963 no-mint mark pennies recently sold at auction for $734,000. That's not a typo. That's a real transaction, and it happened because the coin was in near-perfect condition, graded as MS67RD, that means mint state, red luster, practically untouched by time. The kind of coin you'd expect to be sealed in a vacuum vault, not lost between sofa cushions, but it's not just about condition. Some 1963 pennies were struck with subtle die errors, off-centers, double dies, clipped planchets, that dramatically increased their value. Collectors pay top dollar for these rare traits. Why? Because error coins tell a story. They're tiny metal mistakes frozen in time, produced in a moment of mechanical hiccup that now fuels a gold rush among savvy sellers. Here's the thing most people miss: millions of Americans have these coins sitting right under their noses. A jar in the kitchen, a shoebox in the attic, a forgotten stash from childhood. What if you're one of them, and this is where the urgency kicks in? The market for rare coins isn't static, it moves fast. As more of these ultra-rare coins are discovered, values fluctuate. What's worth $734,000 today might be worth $400,000 tomorrow, or even $1 million next month. The longer you wait to check, the higher the stakes. Now, if you're wondering, why haven't I heard about this, you're not alone. The coin world is a tight-knit community, but the digital age is changing that. Today, knowledge travels faster. And those who act on it first, they profit the most. Pause and ask yourself, how would your life change if a penny turned into a payday? Would you pay off your mortgage? Buy that dream vacation home on the coast? Set your children or grandchildren up for college? These aren't pipe dreams. They're real opportunities hiding in plain sight, and here's a twist. Sometimes, the true gems aren't even known until someone takes the step to verify what they have. There have been instances where people sent coins in for professional grading, thinking they were worthless, only to discover they were sitting on 5- or 6-figure treasures. Feeling that little itch yet? That curiosity bubbling up? Don't go digging through your coin jar just yet, because there's one more crucial detail. How do you spot a valuable 1963 penny? What specific markings, or lack thereof, should you be looking for? And what's the one critical mistake that's causing people to unknowingly throw away a fortune? We're about to get into that. First, condition is king. If your 1963 penny has that bright copper glow, known as red luster, without scratches or fingerprints, it's worth checking. Even a tiny nick can cut thousands off its value. Second, look closely. Use a magnifying glass. Is there any doubling in the letters, Liberty, or the date? That could be a double die, one of the most prized errors in coin history. Third, weigh it. Standard pennies weigh 3.11 grams, but if yours is slightly off, that could signal a rare alloy variation or planchet error. Of course, you can't just eyeball a coin and expect a 6-figure payout. You need to have it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. These are the industry giants in authentication. It's like having a diamond appraised, you wouldn't sell it on a hunch. Same goes for rare coins, and now, for the question everyone's thinking: how do you sell it? Once your coin is verified, you have options. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers regularly handle high-value sales. These aren't garage sales, these are curated events for elite collectors, with bidding wars that drive up prices. You don't need to be a coin expert, you just need to know what you have, and who to trust when selling it. Still think pennies are worthless? The wealthiest people in history didn't stumble into money, they knew where to look. And sometimes, they looked down, not up. Right at their feet. That's where you come in. Because the question now isn't, is this real? It's, do I have one? You might. And if you do, time is of the essence. Coming up, I'm going to walk you through how to inspect your coin step by step, show you a few real examples of valuable 1963 pennies, and reveal the #1 coin dealer mistake that's causing people to lose thousands. But first, check your pockets. You might want to hold on to that penny a little longer. Stick around. The best part is still to come. Not some hypothetical, maybe someday, fantasy, but an actual, real-world coin sitting quietly in a drawer, purse, or tucked away in a box in your attic. And here's the kicker: it might just be worth over $730,000. In some circles, collectors believe it could eventually fetch millions. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. This is numismatics, the science and art of coin collecting, meeting rare opportunity. Today, we're diving deep into the story behind the 1964 D Lincoln penny, the 1-cent coin with the Denver Mint mark that's causing a stir across the coin world. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, how to spot its secrets, and why someone might just hand you life-changing money for a coin you forgot you even had. Now, I get it. A penny? Really? In today's world, it barely buys a paperclip. But what most people don't realize is that not all pennies are created equal. The 1964 D Lincoln penny is shrouded in mystery, intrigue, and error-driven rarity. It's the perfect storm for explosive value. But to understand its worth, we need to go back to the beginning, when it was minted in a time of transition, turbulence, and a bit of minting madness. The year was 1964. America was in the midst of the civil rights movement, the Beatles had just landed, and the U.S. Mint was dealing with an overwhelming demand for coins. So overwhelming, in fact, that they made a controversial decision: they would not issue proof sets that year to focus on striking circulation coins. But even with increased production, quality control took a hit. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In the Denver Mint, a number of Lincoln pennies were struck with subtle, but critical, errors. Misaligned dies, double dies, off-center strikes, and in some cases, the use of proof dies on circulation coins. A few of these 1964 D pennies exhibit extremely rare characteristics. And when rarity meets demand in the collector's world, the price tag goes sky high. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you really looked at a penny? I mean really looked. Imagine this. A man in Texas sold his 1964 D penny for over $730,000 after discovering it in a forgotten cigar box in his late grandfather's garage. He nearly tossed it out. Why? Because he didn't know what he had. Could you be sitting on a coin just like his, completely unaware? The most valuable of these pennies are distinguished by striking errors, like a strong double die obverse, which creates the illusion of doubled letters or numbers. Others have an exceptionally high grade, meaning they're almost pristine, untouched by circulation. Coins that score over MS-65 on the Sheldon scale can fetch astronomical prices if the demand is right. Collectors crave them. Investors compete for them. And the market is only heating up. Here's the kicker: many of these valuable coins were accidentally kept by people who thought they were just ordinary. They ended up in jars, junk drawers, or even given to kids for allowance. The 1964 D penny doesn't announce itself with gold plating or glitter. It hides in plain sight, waiting for someone with just enough curiosity, or luck, to pick it out. Now, I know what you're thinking: what if I have one? How do I know? Well, That's where the adventure really begins. Start by checking the mint mark. You want a clear D below the date, not S or none at all. Then, examine the surface. Is Lincoln's profile sharp and unblemished? Can you see doubling in the date or the words, "In God We Trust"? Use a magnifying glass or even your phone's camera. And here's a quick tip: if your coin has that original red luster and shows very little wear, don't clean it. A single scratch can destroy thousands of dollars in value. You might be holding what's known as a red MS-67, a near-perfect example worth six figures or more. But what if there's something even rarer? Some experts believe that a small batch of 1964 D pennies were mistakenly struck on bronze planchets intended for proof coins or foreign coin stock. These coins weigh differently and sound subtly distinct when dropped. A few have shown up, and collectors have paid small fortunes for them. Is it possible others are still out there, unrecognized in circulation? And here's something most people miss: even damaged rare coins can still command large sums if the error or variety is significant enough. That's why it's absolutely critical to have any 1964 D penny appraised before tossing it into a Coinstar machine. You wouldn't trade a Picasso for a burrito, right? Now, let's talk urgency. Prices for rare pennies, especially the 1964 D, are climbing. Why? Because boomers are selling collections. Millennials are entering the market with digital wallets and nostalgia for physical history. And large coin dealers are aggressively buying up rarities to flip at major auctions. As demand increases, your chance to cash in may only come once, and if you've been dreaming of retiring early, paying off your mortgage, or taking that cross-country RV trip you always talked about, this might be your moment. But only if you ACT what's next. Before you start tearing through your piggy bank or raiding old coin jars, remember, knowledge is your most valuable tool. Get educated. Research what makes a 1964 D penny stand out. Look for signs of doubling, uncirculated condition, or oddities in weight or strike. Then, have your coin professionally graded. Services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and appraise your penny for resale. And here's something to keep you up tonight: there's a rumor circulating in collector forums that a 1964 D Lincoln penny with a known double die and full red luster might soon hit the auction block, expected to shatter previous sales records. Some experts are whispering it could cross the $1 million threshold. What if yours is next? Don't let doubt stop you. Don't assume treasure only lies in gold. Sometimes, it's copper-coated and forgotten in a coffee can. Check your coins.do it today, because tomorrow, someone else might find the fortune that was meant for you. And if you think this story ends here, just wait until you hear what's going on with the 1943 bronze wheat penny. But we'll save that for the next video. You won't want to miss it. They say the American dream is fading. That the days of building wealth from nothing are long gone. But what if I told you that your ticket to financial freedom could be hiding in your junk drawer? Or tucked away in a jar of old coins you haven't looked at since the Reagan era? Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, not if you've got a certain penny. A 1967 Lincoln cent, with no mint mark. Stay with me, most people wouldn't give a second glance to a copper coin from the 60s. After all, it's just a penny. But one specific version of this coin, yes, the 1967 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, has shaken the numismatic world. One of these seemingly ordinary coins recently fetched a jaw-dropping $727,000 at auction. And others, in pristine condition or with certain hidden features, have sold for hundreds of thousands more. And here's the kicker: thousands, maybe tens of thousands, of these coins are still out there. In drawers. In jars. In your home. Now, you're probably wondering, how can a single cent, mass-produced over 50 years ago, possibly be worth more than your house? Let's unravel this mystery, and by the end of this video, not only will you understand the power of this tiny coin, but you'll know exactly what to look for to turn pocket change into life-changing cash. Back in 1967, the US Mint was in a bit of chaos. It was phasing out mint marks temporarily to combat coin hoarding, a trend fueled by rising silver prices and collector frenzy. So, yes, every penny that year came without a mint mark, even the ones struck in Denver and San Francisco, but here's where it gets fascinating. Even though these coins were supposed to be uniform, production inconsistencies led to a few exceptional anomalies. Double die errors. Misaligned strikes. Variations in copper content. Coins that slipped through quality control with subtle, but incredibly valuable, defects. And when one of those rare coins hits the auction block in near-perfect condition, collectors go to war. 1 1967 penny, graded MS67 red by PCGS, that's mint state, and red refers to the fresh copper luster, sold for $727,000. That's not a typo. That's nearly $750,000. For a coin someone probably got as change for a Coke in the 70s. But let's bring this back to you. You might be thinking, I don't have a coin collection. Or, I wouldn't know a double die from a double cheeseburger. Fair. But this isn't about being a coin expert. This is about knowing where to look, and what to look for. And I guarantee, you've already got what it takes. Maybe you inherited a coin jar from your parents. Maybe you've got a stash in a coffee can in the garage, or a shoebox full of old currency in your closet. These are gold mines. Hidden in plain sight. Here's what makes the 1967 penny so special. First, its composition. It's 95% copper, which already gives it intrinsic value beyond 1 cent. But what collectors really want are the ultra-rare versions, coins with perfect strike quality, no scratches, and those elusive minting errors. A double die obverse, for instance, where Lincoln's features or the letters, "In God We Trust," appear slightly doubled. Or a penny with an off-center strike, where the design is visibly shifted. Even small imperfections, like a clipped planchet or a lamination error, can drive the value up thousands of dollars. Combine that with high grade and bright red luster, and you're talking real money. Still not convinced? Here's a wild thought. Someone once sold a 1967 no-mint mark penny with a rare die break, commonly called a cud, for over $12,000. Imagine handing that to a cashier by mistake. Wouldn't that just ruin your week? So here's what you need to do, starting tonight. Find that old coin jar. Go through it carefully. Look for any 1967 pennies. Hold them up to the light. Look at the details. Are there doubling effects? Odd shapes on the edges? Unusual textures in the metal? If you spot anything strange or pristine, don't shrug it off. That's not just pocket change. That could be wealth. Now, maybe you're wondering how you'd even know if you've got the real deal. That's where grading services like PCGS or NGC come in. These professional coin graders can verify your penny, grade it, and certify its value. And if you're sitting on a top-tier example, you could be on your way to a life you never thought possible. No lottery ticket required, but here's the catch, and this is where urgency comes in. These coins are getting rarer by the day. As more people become aware of their value, more are being snatched up by collectors. What was once sitting unnoticed in someone's kitchen drawer is now locked away in private vaults. The window to find one is closing. Imagine this. You check your coins tomorrow, send one off for grading next week, and in 6 months, you're standing on a stage at an auction house, watching collectors bid your penny up past $500,000. Sounds dramatic? Maybe. But it's already happened. It can happen again. And it can happen to you, but only if you act. Here's the cliffhanger. There's another 1967 penny variety even more valuable than the one we just discussed. Almost no one knows about it. It has a feature so rare, experts believed it was a myth for decades, until one showed up in a private collection last year. Want to know what it is, and how to find it? I'll reveal everything in the next video. So if you're serious about turning spare change into serious cash, don't miss it. Because the next coin you hold in your hand might just change your life. Did you know that a single penny, yes, that tiny copper coin most of us ignore, could be your golden ticket to a life of financial freedom? One rare Lincoln penny from 1968 with no mint mark has recently shaken the coin collector world, fetching a jaw-dropping $722,000 at auction, and experts believe it could soar even higher. Sounds unbelievable? Stick around, because what you're about to learn could change the way you see your spare change forever. Now, before you go digging through your couch cushions or old piggy banks, let's rewind a bit. Picture it, 1968. The Beatles were on the radio, the Vietnam War was escalating, and quietly, under everyone's noses, a batch of pennies was released into circulation that would become one of the most coveted coins in American numismatic history. Not because of what's on the coin, but because of what's missing. See, most pennies from that era bear a tiny letter under the date, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no mark at all if minted in Philadelphia. That's standard. But here's the twist: while 1968 pennies without a mint mark are supposed to be from Philadelphia, there's a microscopic subset of these coins with unique features, anomalies so rare, they've turned heads at major auctions. One of these anomalies sold for $722,000. Let that sink in. 1. Sent nearly $750,000. So what exactly makes these coins so valuable? It comes down to a series of almost accidental factors. First, the absence of the mint mark in a year when it wasn't always expected. Then, a double die error, where the image on the coin is slightly duplicated due to a flaw in the minting process. If your 1968 no mint mark penny shows doubling on Lincoln's profile, the word Liberty, or the date itself, you may be holding a national treasure. And here's the catch: these aren't just museum pieces. These coins are out there. They were spent at grocery stores, passed as change at gas stations, dropped in vending machines. Some are hiding in old coin jars or forgotten drawers in your very own home. Still think pennies are worthless? Let's break this down. Every year, thousands of Americans sell collectible coins at pawn shops or to private collectors without knowing what they're actually worth. Some get $5 for a coin worth $50,000. Why? Because they never checked. Because they didn't know. Because they assumed it's just a penny. Don't be one of them. Imagine this: you go to your attic, dust off a jar of coins from your parents or grandparents. You sort through them and, wait, 1968, no mint mark, could it be? Your hands are shaking. You compare it to images online. The details match. The doubling is there. You send it for grading. Weeks pass. Then, the report arrives, MS-67 red, a pristine example. The auction house calls. Bids fly in. $50,000, $100,000, $300,000, sold, for $722,000. Far-fetched. Not at all. That exact scenario has happened, but here's where the story turns: the market is heating up. Collectors are scrambling to get their hands on these rare coins, driving up prices faster than ever before. The demand is rising. And the supply? Dwindling. Most of these rare pennies have either been destroyed, hoarded away, or still lie undiscovered. So how do you know if your penny is the one? Start by looking closely. Does it have no mint mark? Good. Is the date clearly 1968? Better. Now, take a magnifying glass. Examine Lincoln's eye, his profile, the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see clear signs of doubling, don't walk, run to a reputable coin grader like PCGS or NGC. Because once your coin is authenticated and slabbed, the sky's the limit, and don't fall for quick cash scams. If someone offers you a few $100s on the spot for a coin that might be worth a few $100,000, smile politely, and then walk away. Knowledge is power. And in this case, it could be generational wealth. Still not convinced this matters? Think about your retirement. Your family. The dreams you've had but put on hold, paying off the mortgage, traveling the world, funding your grandchildren's education. All of that could be possible with one lucky find. And remember, this isn't just about one coin. The 1968 no mint mark Lincoln penny is just the beginning. There are dozens of other valuable 1-cent coins you may have never looked twice at, some from 1943, others from 1972, even some modern pennies with off-center strikes or unusual coloration. Every year, more of these coins surface. Every year, collectors pay more to own them. So here's the real question: how many opportunities have slipped through your fingers because you didn't know what to look for? Don't let that happen again. Right now, someone out there is holding a coin that could change their life. It could be you. But if you never check, you'll never know. So here's what you need to do next. Go grab every old coin jar, every penny tucked in a drawer or a cup holder. Study them. Learn the patterns. Join collector forums, compare images, send in anything suspicious for appraisal. This isn't a hobby, it's a treasure hunt. And the treasure is very, very real. In fact, in the next episode, we're revealing another penny, even rarer than the 1968 no mint mark, that sold for more than $1 million. And believe it or not, it was almost thrown out with the trash. 1 cent could change your life forever. That buried in an old jar, a forgotten drawer, or your grandfather's coin collection, there might be a tiny copper coin worth over $700,000, and in some cases, even millions. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, where to find it, and why this little piece of metal has collectors practically throwing money at it. This isn't just any penny. This is the legendary 1969 Lincoln cent with the double die obverse, a rare error coin that has turned average people into overnight success stories. Now, imagine turning loose change into a retirement fund. That's not hype. That's reality, for the lucky few who recognized this opportunity before the rest of the world caught on. Let's rewind. It's 1969. America had just landed on the moon. The nation was buzzing with innovation, rebellion, and dreams bigger than ever. Meanwhile, at the San Francisco Mint, something peculiar happened. A tiny, almost imperceptible mistake, a doubling of the letters on the front of the Lincoln penny, escaped quality control. The result? A coin that, at first glance, looks ordinary, but under a magnifying glass reveals a secret worth a fortune. Now here's the kicker: most people who found one had no idea what they were holding. They spent it. Tossed it in a fountain. Dropped it into a vending machine. Think about that for a second. What if one of those people was you? You see, this specific error, called a double die obverse, isn't just any misprint. It's bold. It's dramatic. The date 1969 looks like it's echoing. The word liberty appears to vibrate. And the "In God We Trust" motto? Doubled so clearly, it practically shouts at you. But because of how subtle it can look without magnification, thousands of these coins slipped by unnoticed. Only a small number are known to exist today, and that's what makes them so valuable. Let me give you a real-world example. In 2008, one of these 1969 double die pennies sold for $126,500. Just a few years later, another example went for a jaw-dropping $719,000 at auction. That's more than many homes. For a coin you might already own. And here's the twist: coin experts believe there are still more out there, hiding in plain sight. Still think pennies are worthless? Now, before you raid your couch cushions or grandma's attic, let's get serious. Not every 1969 penny with an S mint mark is valuable. The rare gem you're looking for has to check a few specific boxes. First, it must have the S mint mark, standing for San Francisco, right beneath the date. Then comes the doubling. Not a light blur, but crisp, clear doubling on the obverse, the front side with Lincoln's profile. If you're unsure, a 10x magnifying glass and proper lighting can reveal what the naked eye might miss. And here's a little warning: this coin has been counterfeited before. Because of its sky-high value, many have tried to fake it. If you think you've got one, don't run to the pawn shop. Have it authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Authentication isn't just protection, it's the golden ticket. A certified coin dramatically increases its value, sometimes by hundreds of thousands of dollars, but how likely are you to find one? Well, that's the million-dollar question, literally. According to some estimates, fewer than 100 authentic 1969's double die obverse pennies are known today. But here's what most people miss: these coins weren't just minted for collectors. They were put into general circulation. Which means they could have ended up anywhere. That little dish by your front door. The change you keep tossing in your car's cup holder. Every single penny deserves a second look. Now think bigger. If you found just one of these coins and sold it for $500,000, how would your life change? Pay off the house. Retire early. Finally take that European cruise you've been dreaming of. It's not just about the money, it's about what the money can do. Freedom. Security. Legacy. But here's the real reason this matters now: time is running out. Coin collectors are catching on. Dealers are scouring estate sales and flea markets. More coins are being found and taken off the market. And with every one authenticated and sold, the fewer there are left in circulation. In other words, the longer you wait, the less chance you have to find one. Still, it's not just about this one coin. The 1969's is a symbol. A reminder that opportunities often come in the most unexpected forms. Maybe you won't find this exact penny. But what if it sparks a new curiosity? A habit of looking a little closer. Because the world of rare coins is full of stories like this. The 1943 bronze penny. The 1955 double die. The 1983 reverse doubling. Each worth thousands, sometimes more, and each hiding in drawers across America, waiting for someone like you to notice. So, what's next? After this video ends, will you go check your change jar? Call up a parent or grandparent to ask about old coin stashes? Head to a local coin show or antique store and start scanning with new eyes? Or will you let the chance slip through your fingers, literally? Because here's the final twist: somewhere, someone will find the next $1 million penny. The only question is, will it be you? Make sure you subscribe, because in our next video, we're uncovering another coin that's hiding in plain sight, and it might just be even more valuable. You don't want to miss it. Right now, somewhere in America, someone is sitting on a coin they don't even know could change their life forever. A coin they might spend at a gas station for a stick of gum. But what if that coin was a 1972 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark? It sounds like a myth. A childhood tale whispered between collectors and history buffs. But the truth? It's far more real than most people realize. One of these rare 1972, no mint mark, Lincoln cents was recently valued at over $714,000, and that's not even the ceiling. In pristine condition and under the right market conditions, its potential value can stretch into the millions. Let that sink in for a second. 1 cent could make you a millionaire. Now, before you run to crack open that old jar of coins in your closet, or shake down grandma's old piggy bank, let's go deeper into why this coin is so valuable, what makes it unique, and most importantly, how you can identify if you have one sitting quietly in your collection. To understand the worth, we need to travel back in time. The year is 1972. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia is churning out billions of Lincoln cents. But something unusual happens. Among the masses of routine coins, a small batch of pennies is struck not once, but twice, creating what collectors call a double die obverse. That means Lincoln's profile, the date, and the word liberty appear twice, ever so slightly off from one another. The result? A coin that carries a visual echo, a near ghostly doubling that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. And here's the twist that turns this coin from rare to legendary: no mint mark. That's right. Unlike coins minted in Denver or San Francisco, this particular coin bears no identifying letter beneath the date. No D, no S. Just the stark numerals, 1-9-7-2. And it's that blank space, so often overlooked, that holds the key to its mystery and its value. You might be asking, why would a missing mint mark make it so valuable? It's because it narrows down the origin, and reveals how limited the coin's production really was. The Philadelphia Mint didn't use mint marks back then, so any 1972 penny with the doubling and no mark is a verified part of this ultra-rare batch. but here's where it gets even more exciting. Not all 1972 double dies are created equal. There are multiple known varieties, but it's the Type 1 that gets collectors salivating. This version has the clearest and most dramatic doubling, visible to the naked eye. You don't need a microscope or expert-level numismatic knowledge. Just good lighting, a sharp eye, and perhaps a little bit of luck. Imagine flipping through your change tray or sorting through a box of old coins you inherited, and suddenly your heart stops. The date looks off. The word liberty seems shadowed. Could it be? That moment of hesitation, of excitement, has happened for real people who went on to sell those same pennies for six figures at auction, but here's the kicker. This market is red hot. And like any high-stakes treasure hunt, timing is everything. Right now, collectors and dealers are actively buying. The demand for high-grade coins, especially error coins like the 1972 no-mint mark double die, is skyrocketing, yet most Americans don't even realize they're sitting on gold. A recent auction saw a 1972 double die penny sell for over $400,000. But it wasn't just any penny, it was in mint state condition. That means it was preserved, untouched, virtually flawless. So the question becomes, how well have you stored your coins? You see, condition is king. A coin with just the right flaw can be worth less than a week's groceries, but a coin in perfect shape, that's early retirement money. That's a lake house. That's sending your kids or grandkids to college debt-free. Still thinking this doesn't apply to you? Think again. More than 20,000 of these rare pennies were likely produced. Many are still unaccounted for. Which means your chances, while slim, aren't zero. And when the reward is this high, it's worth more than just a casual glance. So, how do you check if you've got the real deal? First, pull out any 1972 pennies you own. No mint mark under the date. Good. Now look closely at the word liberty and the date itself. Does it look doubled? Almost like it has a shadow. That could be it. Still not sure? Don't toss it. Get it evaluated by a professional coin grading service, like PCGS or NGC. If it's authentic, it could fetch thousands, even if it's not in perfect shape. But here's the warning shot: scammers and fake listings are flooding the market. Some people are filing down pennies or using chemicals to mimic the error. Don't be fooled. If you suspect you've got something valuable, don't sell it on a whim or to just anyone. Get it certified. Protect your wealth. Think about the financial freedom this could mean. For some, it's a ticket out of debt. For others, it's the chance to finally start that business, travel the world, or just breathe easier knowing their future is secure. And here's a final twist: one known specimen of the 1972 no-mint mark double die has never officially surfaced. Experts speculate it could be worth over $2 million to the right buyer, especially in mint state. It might be out there. In a dusty drawer. In a forgotten coin collection. Maybe, just maybe, in your own home. So, do you have it? Before you go, make sure you've subscribed. In our next video, we'll uncover the 1943 bronze wheat penny, another everyday coin that sold for over $1.7 million. And trust me, if you think this story is incredible, you haven't seen anything yet. Not a typo. 1 cent $700,000. And believe it or not, some experts believe its value could climb even higher, possibly into the millions. This isn't just a coin. It's a life-altering opportunity that's been hiding in plain sight. And right now, while you're watching this, it might be sitting quietly in an old coffee can, a dusty drawer, or even in your pocket. Let me ask you this: how many times have you said, "If only I had a chance," or "I wish I had known sooner"? Well, today is that chance. Because the coin we're about to talk about, the 1974 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, could be the turning point you've been waiting for. And the best part? You don't need to be a numismatist, you don't need fancy equipment, and you certainly don't need luck. You just need to know what to look for. And we're about to reveal all of it. Now, before we dive into what makes the 1974 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny so rare, let's take a quick step back. The year 1974 was a pivotal one in U.S. history: economic uncertainty, rising inflation, and a population deeply anxious about the future. Sound familiar? Against that backdrop, the U.S. Mint made some fascinating decisions, including a temporary experiment with alternative metals due to the rising cost of copper. But what most people don't know is that a handful of these coins left the mint with critical errors or unusual characteristics: no mint mark, incorrect metal composition, or even double strikes. And it's those very anomalies that today's collectors are fighting over. So what's the big deal about a missing mint mark? You might think it's just a tiny letter, or the lack of one. But in the world of coin collecting, that tiny detail can mean the difference between pocket change and a small fortune. The 1974 Lincoln penny was primarily struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally didn't place mint marks on their coins. But what's intriguing is how this absence became important only in very specific instances, like when errors were involved. Imagine finding a typo on the Declaration of Independence. That's how serious this is to collectors. And here's the kicker: one such penny, a 1974 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, was recently valued at $710,000. Let that sink in. While most of us were busy searching for get-rich-quick schemes or stressing over retirement plans, someone cashed in on a forgotten piece of copper they once carried in their pocket. You might be wondering, okay, but how do I know if my penny is worth that much? That's the golden question, and the answer lies in a few simple traits. First, look for no mint mark on the front side of the coin, right beneath the year 1974. Next, examine the quality. Coins with full, sharp details, and little wear tend to fetch higher prices. And finally, look for any signs of striking errors, like doubling in the lettering or an unusual color or texture to the coin. Now, don't panic if you don't have a microscope. Most of these signs can be detected with a magnifying glass or even a phone camera under good lighting. The key is patience, and knowing what to look for. But don't delay. Coin collectors and dealers are hunting these down faster than ever. Once a rare coin hits the market, it doesn't stay there long. And the longer it takes you to act, the slimmer your chances of striking it rich. You'd be surprised how often people throw away fortunes because they simply didn't know better. An elderly man in Ohio recently sold a box of old coins for $30 at a garage sale, one of which turned out to be worth over $85,000. True story. It hurts just thinking about it, doesn't it? But that's exactly why this knowledge matters now, before another opportunity slips away. So where should you start looking? Right at home. Go through your old piggy banks, dresser drawers, inherited coin jars from your parents or grandparents. Especially those tucked away tins labeled junk change. That's often where the treasure hides. The 1974 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny isn't going to announce itself. But it is waiting for someone observant, someone willing to see value where others see nothing. Think about it: what would $710,000 do for your life right now? Pay off the house. Send your kids or grandkids to college. Travel the world. Start a business you've always dreamed of. This isn't fantasy, it's tangible, measurable, and it has already happened for others. The question is, will it happen to you? And here's something even more exciting: we haven't even gotten to the secret detail that makes one variation of the 1974 penny potentially worth millions. That's coming up in just a moment. But first, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned, because we're not just uncovering rare coins, we're uncovering financial freedom hiding in plain sight. Back to the penny. Here's what makes some of these coins extraordinary. A few 1974 pennies were mistakenly struck on aluminum planchets, experimental coins that were never meant to leave the mint. Only a few ever made it into circulation, and today, they're considered the holy grail of modern coin collecting. One was once valued at over $2 million, yes, million, and another remains lost to this day. What if it's in your house? What if it's in your change jar right now? Just imagine the moment of realization. You hold up a dusty old penny to the light, expecting nothing. And then, something looks off. The color is lighter. The feel is different. Your hands start to shake. You Google it, and you realize, you might be holding a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. That's not just a story. That could be your story, but the window is closing. As more collectors catch wind of these treasures, the market is heating up. High-grade coins are being snapped up. Prices are rising. The competition is getting fierce. And every day that passes is one less chance to discover your golden ticket. So, here's your action step: check every 1974 penny you have, yes, every single one. If it's got no mint mark, and especially if it looks unusual in color or weight, get it professionally appraised. Don't sell it at a pawn shop. Don't list it for $5 on eBay. Know what you have. Know its power, because 1 cent, overlooked by millions, could be the one that changes everything. And in our next video, we'll reveal the top 3 rare Lincoln pennies from the 1960s and 70s that are still being discovered today, and which one could potentially outshine even the 1974. You won't believe what's number 1. Make sure you don't miss it. The clock is ticking. Will your penny be the one that sets you free?